G'day everyone, this review is going to be a little bit different to my usual reviews. Firstly, because, well, it's yellow, don't do those too often, do I? And secondly, because I'm going to do it as a kit. I usually just review individual tools, but this is quite a good little kit, and a lot of people would start off with this, so I thought we'd go back to basics. We'll do a kit review, and no, this was not sent to me. This is going to be a real review. There's a lot of these that have been sent out to people, and so yeah, beware of some of the reviews. But I paid for this with my own money, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of it. So the kit number is, I'll put it on the screen because it's pretty long, the DCK2050E2T. So as you can see, it comes in this case. This is a T-Stack 2 case. It's a good case. It is probably the best case I've ever seen on what is a relatively cheap set of tools. This is compatible with other cases. You can clip them together, so that's really cool. There's a little thing here telling you about all the different ones you can get as well. But I also bought something else that also came in one of these cases at the same time, and so it can clip onto this. It has a handle at the top and a handle there. You can carry it either way, flat or vertically. Love that. Pretty cool. Anyway, let's take a look inside. Oh, the lid stops. Doesn't go right back over. Stays up. Kinda good. Although means it's more inclined to do that. But anyway, manuals. What does the kit include? An impact driver, a hammer drill, 2 of these belt clips and bit holders, 1 for each tool. As you can see, it's already on this tool. I have been using this. A charger and 2 Powerstack batteries. That's right, comes with the new Powerstack batteries. This is a sort of Powerstack launch kit here in New Zealand. If at any point these tools interest you enough you wish to purchase them, take a look down in the comments because I'll stick some links down there. The hammer drill is the DCD805 and the impact driver is the DCF850, and boy is it a small tool. Here it is next to the DCF887, and as you can see it is significantly shorter. It's 35mm shorter. The DCF887 is DeWalt's top of the line impact driver, or at least it was. Is it still anymore? Is this better than this? This has some very good stats. So it'll be interesting to see if this can dethrone this. But not only is the impact driver tiny, look at the battery that it's sitting on. Look at the size of this battery. It's a great physical size for an 18-volt battery. It's so small, it's so light. It's a shame DeWalt don't actually tell you what the amp hour is on the side. DeWalt do have a history of not telling you the numbers of things, so you can't compare them to any other tools from any other brands. But I'll try not to talk too much about that. But if you look on the bottom, it's a 1.7 amp hour battery or 30.6 watt hours. But they claim it puts out more power and runs longer and all that sort of stuff. So is that 1.7 equivalent to 1.7 from an old style cylindrical battery? One of these sort of ones? Let's take a look at the size difference. Massive differences here. It is one very small 18 volt or 20 volt depending on where you live. You're not actually getting any more voltage, just remember that. And also remember, yeah, it's small, but that's 1.7 amp hours, that's 5, that's 6. This has 5 pouches in it, this has 10 cells in it, this has 15 cells in it. 3 of these add up to 5.1 amp hours. If you made a battery out of these same cells that are in here, these pouch cells, to make a battery that was equivalent to a 5 amp hour, it would be far larger than this. It would be more like this size, perhaps even bigger. Are those pouch cells really the way to go? Works great on a small battery, but is it going to scale up to these larger size batteries, or are they going to get bigger than the cylindrical ones? Time will tell if they can jam things in a bit differently. They're definitely narrower than what you can get with cylindrical cells, and it is nice using one of these tiny little batteries on an impact driver. It's comfortable, it's nice, it's easy when compared to large batteries. But let's just rewind for a minute. So we have a good case, which has a removable insert. It's just an empty box. They chuck in the one for the right tool, and away you go. So you could change this yourself at some point if you wished. We have a high-end impact driver. This isn't an entry-level impact driver. They've worked hard on this to get this down to a tiny tool that builders are going to love and that has the power to do the job. This has 205 Newton meters of torque. It is a little beast of an impact driver. So it's a high-end impact driver. a medium to medium high level impact driver. It has a metal chuck, which is nice. It has 90 Newton meters of hard torque. It does not come with a side handle, and I think it definitely should. It's a big mistake for DeWalt not to design this with a handle in mind. This tool is powerful enough to do damage to all those who think they're not. I get comments about people damaging their wrists on a weekly basis in comment sections, so cordless drills, respect them, okay? So it's a really good impact driver, a pretty darn good hammer drill. Size wise, it's a nice compact hammer drill. They've done a good job there, and we've got two of the most super duper amazing batteries ever. Well, at least that's what everybody tells us. The charger, however, is junk. This takes 50 minutes, 50, to charge one of these batteries, which is painfully slow in today's modern era. I know some of you like slow chargers, but come on. It's not the slowest one DeWalt make. They do one that takes 82 minutes to charge one of those. 82 minutes. And that's 5 minutes longer than this behemoth of a battery, the Makita 40 volt 8 amp hour battery, takes to charge. And this is nearly 10 times the capacity of one of these. So yeah, she's not a great charger. So I went and bought another one just to make sure I can keep an impact driver running all day with those slow charge times. So how well will the new impact driver go with a big lag screw? You call it in the States, we call it a coach screw here. Let's go. Smashed it, no problem at all. Can't complain about either of those for that task. So I drilled those 4 holes. They were 10mm diameter and about 150 deep, and I've put in the 4 screws, and I've just put in 2 125mm batten screws without doing any pilot holes for those, and we're down 1 bar. Use the same battery on both tools just to see how quick I could drain this, and because I'm waiting for the other battery to charge. This might be a good little test for the battery and the drill. That's a 68mm hole saw, or 2 11/16 of an inch. So that was on the highest gear. We'll now drop it down to low gear. Oh, geez, it needs a handle. This drill is still powerful enough to require a handle. Oh, when it stops and kicks back like that, not comfortable. In fact, I'm going to try it on the high gear. Yeah, the high gear doesn't give you that nasty kickback when it cuts out. It's a pretty good little drill. Now I am drilling 68mm, like I said. This is rated to 55mm. I'm guessing they say that so they don't have to include the bloody side handle, the cheap buggers. Still on 2 bars on that one battery. Down to 1 bar after what I told you I'd done before, plus that hole saw and another 4 125mm batten screws and a handful of 32mm screws. I've just changed over to the second battery, and first up we've got a big challenge for it here. This is 300 long, 1 foot, 12mm or 1/2 inch in diameter. I'll drill a pilot hole first, of course. Bit much asking that to do this without that. Plus it'll split the daylights out of my timber. It did it, but that was a hell of a vibration. And whoohoo, she's toasty now. I'm going to go and grab something to measure the temperature of that. Showing about 45 degrees on the hottest spot on the case there. Geez, look at that, the collet, the bit that you have to touch with your hand, 64 degrees. Ouch. Wow, yeah, she's pretty hot in there. What about right in the front here? So 60 degrees on the front. Back vent we're looking at about 45. Right on the very back where the bearing is, look at that, 43. Second battery down, and that one did not much. Only put in about 4 bolts and screws, and it's dead already, but they were rather hefty ones, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt on that one. So I went through 3 full batteries. That one's knackered, hasn't got any guts to do anything anymore. This one still showing 3, so that one's not too bad. So I went through 3 full charges and another part one. Yeah, they're good little batteries, they're nice light little tools, but they don't last hugely long. They are only 1.7 amp hours, of course, which, yeah, is extraordinarily low by today's standards. This is 125 millimeters thick, or 5 inches, and the screws I'm using are 120 millimeters long, or 4 3/4 inches. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. So in this next test I'm going to drive some of these Simpson Strong Tie SWS timber screws with the cute little driver, and we're going to try it with the Powerstack battery, then a 5 amp hour standard XR battery, and then the FlexVolt 6 amp hour battery. Is there any difference? Is this faster than these? The batteries are all, of course, fully charged. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that was pretty close. Let's try something a little bit longer. 3, 2, 1. Three, two, one. Interesting results in that test you just saw. It's something that is confusing me a lot with using these batteries. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. It's a bit weird depending on what you're doing. And the FlexVolt batteries, how many of you have the problem I had in that shot there? I did it multiple times. It did the same thing every time. Started off fast, and then the tool slowed down, and then it sped up again at the end. What's with that? I've noticed it happens with FlexVolt batteries. It also happens with the multi-volt batteries from Hikoki. Please don't tell me it's changing voltage from 54 volts to 18 volts. Oh, I know you're going to. I know someone's going to. There's also something in that video I need to explain, because basically every video you see on YouTube with these batteries is, every test is essentially wrong. Okay, now I'm not saying that the people in the videos are making incorrect tests. It's something to do with the tools and the batteries, okay? Another video. Now, I don't want this to become too much of a Powerstack battery test video, because it's meant to be about this and the drill and the kit, you know. So we'll leave it there for now, but I have done a lot of tests with some of these things in the background and stuff with these batteries, and I tell you what, it gets a bit confusing. Sometimes this fires out, sometimes, like that, it doesn't. It's just hit and miss on whether it wants to eject it, like so. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it works really well. Now this is a 3-speed impact driver. It has very solid click click clicks on the bottom rather than a dodgy little pad that might wear out, so a lot of guys will prefer that. Number 2 and 3 are just pull the trigger and away you go. Number 1, however, is a sort of screw mode. Now I never took my finger off the trigger, but you noticed it started off and then stopped. We'll try it with a slightly smaller screw. Stops. And then sort of changes gear and drives it a little bit more like a drill in a low gear. And then just a few impacts there at the end. So that can be handy depending on what you're driving. I find it a little bit weird personally. I don't like it as much as screw sort of modes on other brands of impact drivers. The hammer drill has an awesome light, and the controls are in the same place as what the controls are for the driving speeds of the impact driver. So down the bottom here we have light on, light full on with a timer. So that's like 20 minutes that's going to stay on, and you can angle it. How cool is that? So you can use this basically as a torch if you're not using the drill. I really like that. And it's much brighter than the lights you would get on most drills and impact drivers. You've got the switch in the center, it will turn on when you pull the trigger. Or if you don't need a light, don't want the light going, you can just always have it turned off. 2-speed gearbox. Now the other day I was driving a lot of 100mm batten screws with this in the highest speed and in the drill mode, because it was just perfect, because it got to the point where they were seated and then the tool cut out, and so it just happened to be perfect for that particular job. Not something I necessarily recommend, but hey, every tool has their sweet spot of a particular job, and once you know what that is for whatever you're doing, it can be super handy to just grab the right tool that you know is going to just stop perfectly where you want it. The hammer function I have used, but I've only used it on 5mm drill bits, and I punched out a heap of holes in concrete the other day with 5mm drill, and yeah, it did a perfect little job. I wouldn't want to do much bigger holes than that, to be honest. Certainly wouldn't want to go over 10mm. Anything over about 6mm or 1/4 of an inch, I would usually grab a rotary hammer drill. So overall, I think this is a great little impact driver. I love it. I would use it over the 887 any day, just based on the size alone basically and the comfort of it. And I always hated the 887. Apart from the size, it's got good power. You've got the 3 different speeds there. You've got a nice chuck. Yeah, it's a great little tool. I quite like these little magnet holders on the side. So I really like the impact driver. The hammer drill is good for what it is. It's not up there with the top performing ones obviously, whereas this basically is. This is a step or two down from the top, but you do have a metal chuck, you've got the cool light, it's powerful enough for most people's uses probably. If you're starting off, you're an apprentice or something, this is a great kit. It's also a great kit if you don't use drills and impact drivers that much, but you want fairly good ones when you do use them, because you don't want to have to go out and rent something. They've got the light batteries, so if you have a problem with heavy stuff, you've got damaged wrists, or you just like light compact tools that you can get into nice confined spaces and using above your head, then both of these tools are great for that. And yeah, so overall I think it's a great little kit, especially for the price here at the moment in New Zealand. I think the prices will go up after the launch of these tools, but at the moment they seem to be a good price. I'll put a link down to Handy Hardware so you can buy them. You can also buy them individually in kits as well. So a kit for that and a kit for that. I bought this kit and I also bought a kit of just that as well. So I do have another one of those kicking around somewhere. And these two drivers were to feature together in this video, but because of a certain something, they can't. So this will be in another video with this, like I said earlier. Let me know if you want to see any more DeWalt stuff down in the comments, and I'll see you on another video in about a week's time, I guess. See you later, guys. Don't tell Makita, but this is my go-to impact driver at the moment. Just so nice and light to use.